about my background, and I will also say that I think John wanted my wife to do this presentation, and she then recruited me to help her, and then she told me that she couldn't be here. So, are any of you married? You know that that means you're doing it, right? So, this is an area of tremendous interest for me. And just to give you a little bit of background, as John said, I work at this School of Medicine, and I actually moved to Lubbock almost 20 years ago. I'm a geneticist by training, and I ran a research lab for many, many years, studying the genetics of human genes. And then I got involved more in curriculum design, and I oversee the curriculum of the medical school, and I oversee issues related to student affairs. But while I have a fair amount of stuff to do administratively, one thing I really like to do still is to explore new areas and try to share those areas with others. And I did have a grant from the National Institutes of Health on how do you actually incorporate concepts of diversity, concepts of cultural awareness into the medical field. So you're probably going to find that much of my presentation is really related to how we've implemented these and how we explore these concepts in medicine. And I think you'll find that they fit across all boundaries of culture. It doesn't really matter what field you're in. Understanding how cultural differences can impact communication, impact interactions is important. So I'd like to start by finding out a little bit more about you guys. So the first thing I would ask you is, how many of you were born in a country other than the United States? Okay? So let's see which countries there are. So I was born in Ireland and moved to the States to go to graduate school, so
Same person question, sir.
It's sort of like what people say, so you're English, right? And it's like there's a perfect example of cultural unawareness. Canada, it's just like Nepal. How do you say it? That's a different England, all right. So you pleased about the result today? We'll talk about that actually as well. Who else had their hand up? Colombia. Sad about the result. Germany. Interested in the result today, or this morning? China. Ukraine. Okay, didn't do so well in the Euros. So, Northern Ireland beat Ukraine. Who else? Egypt. Yeah.
I was born in Germany, but
I worked for summer in Germany. Goodness. Those popular. That is not usually what happens. Okay. And many of you speak at least one language other than the language of the country you're working. So what? Other than the language of the country you're working, the main language of the country. So many of you do. Okay. So those are all. I think I would guess that already we have a tremendously culturally diverse group. And I bet that we have a lot of people who are very aware of the impact of culture on communication. So I'm not sure I have to spend huge amount of time. How many of you have lived in at least one other country other than the country you were or the country you now live in? Okay, good. Right. So that is all pretty cool. That means that much of my job is already done, so I'll say goodbye. So we're talking today about diversity, and I wrote this outline, then I realized I wasn't actually going to do any of this. But as a geneticist, one of the things that I always think about when I think about diversity, I think about genetic diversity. And I think about how that impacts outcomes in terms of populations, and it's very interesting in population genetics. But all of these components of diversity are good, I think, for the health of the societies in which they exist. There are three things that happened in the last 2 days that make this an incredibly relevant topic to talk about today. So the first is the voting. Can anyone tell me why Great Britain voted to leave the EU? Immigration seems to be pretty major component of it.
There were thoughts that they would achieve greater financial independence.
Right. What else?
Can we hear the radio thing?
Well,
Esther.
Come
on, Esther.
I do
Esther.
not want to
Come on.
I'm serious, I don't want to
Okay.
I really not.
So actually, one of the things I noticed was pretty interesting was Google said that immediately after the vote, there was this incredible spike in people searching for how to get their passport, Irish passport. So a lot of people thinking maybe it's time to leave. I've already been in touch with a friend of mine who had originally got a job, just got a new professor job in the US, and is now thinking it's really hard for me to leave England because house prices are moving. There's a bunch of things which may happen because of it. But I think that when we talked about the immigration issue, that's certainly one of the things that was certainly driving the people who wanted to leave the EU. It's free passage of individuals across countries. We see that in this country as well, obviously, with the current election. And so there's almost a fear of the diverse groups of different countries. Okay, so Brexit probably not the most popular topic, but let's think about the other two things that happened. There were two decisions in the Supreme Court of the United States yesterday that I think are very relevant to our discussion today. And you know, right, so we have this University of Texas versus University of Texas, which every educational location is struggling with how do we maintain diversity within our learning groups, within our student populations. And the decision of the Supreme Court to strike down Fisher versus the University of Texas allows educational institutions to at least consider ethnic identity as part of their admissions process. And the fact is that most institutions will do that. They will see that there's some reasons to promote diversity. Now, there's some problems in the University of Texas system, but I'm sure every institution is saying we recognize the value of this maintaining this level of diversity. At the same time, every institution is then saying, well, how do we make sure that everyone fits into that environment in a way that promotes their future educational success? And again, we certainly have a very diverse group. And what was the other decision?
It was against Obama's decision to maintain certain immigration status of people.
So there was a lower court basically challenged Obama's executive action, which was essentially protecting the status of about 5 million individuals. Now, I think that one's actually a little bit less relevant for what we're today, because I think that's really a challenge to presidential power, or overreaching power. That's the way that most people would see that. But it certainly has a tremendous impact on the lives of a number of individuals who are now being home groups. So all of these daily, and it's sort of interesting that we've had this barrage of events over the last 2 days, are impacting how different groups of individuals within a society interact with each other. But in medicine, this is one of the most important concepts of how do we ensure that we interact appropriately with each other and with our patients. So can anyone tell me anything that you know anything about how does cultural awareness, cultural diversity impact patient care? Or how would you see that occurring?
Doctors are always in the community, a lot of things that have to medicine or the cause of differences.
So doctors' communication with patients. One of the things that we spend a lot of time with our students is trying to explain to them and have them practice appropriate interactions with individuals from different cultures.
The general longevity of Western medicine.
Certainly yeah, exactly. So you're talking about incorporating culturally diverse medical practices, alternative medicine, etc. Sure. There are many physicians who will say, why are you taking that? It's not going to work. You need to use this drug or that drug. And certainly one of the things we promote is to at least explore how to incorporate both forms of medicine. We teach this very embarrassing concept called evidence-based medicine. You ever heard that term? So I always wonder, what's the opposite of evidence-based medicine? Sort of guess-based medicine. And it's actually what it really is the sort of the tradition concept. Many physicians rapidly, I have to say, stop thinking about the newest evidence and start utilizing, well, this is how I've always done it and it works. So that's what I'm going to do. So there's other ways in which cultural differences can really impact those interactions. Language is probably the most important. So one of the most difficult things for physicians to learn is how to communicate with someone who doesn't speak the same language. How do you think we should do? Yes. So translation. So that's exactly how we should do it. In fact, one of the things we try to teach our future physicians is when and how to utilize translators. However, that's pretty difficult. So we have a campus in Amarillo, right? And we send a third of our class to Amarillo. Amarillo is a refugee settlement city. It has refugees who have ended up there from all over the world. Burma, Somalia, Bangladesh, all over the world. And so you can imagine that the languages spoken by patients who appear in the clinics of our affiliated hospitals up in Amarillo can be quite diverse. So we actually have a required course in school medicine in Spanish. We call it Basic Medical Spanish. And it's not meant to teach our students enough Spanish to be able to perform a complete interview with patients in Spanish. It's meant to basically mean that as soon as they walk in, they can actually say a few things, build that initial interaction until they've exhausted their knowledge of Spanish. So then they say, now we've created our initial interaction. Now it's time for you to bring a translator to you so that we can actually continue this situation. Well, if you don't try to do it, we do that. Obviously, many students are doing this now. But we don't try to train our students well enough that they would feel comfortable doing that, because in fact, if you've learned anything here in Spanish, what's the word for esophagus? So the point is that most times when you learn a language, you don't learn everything. So this is where we say, okay, you're just saying hello, you're figuring out roughly why they're here, but as soon as you get to the detailed physical exam or trying to understand why it is this patient is here, you need to get someone in who can help you with that. But you can also imagine that's a little bit difficult in the language Somali or some other language. And so in fact, the way you do it now, which is as good as you can do, is that there are services with iPad that sits on a stick and drives around with you, and you can actually utilize that to have a face beside you. But the whole point is what we're trying to do there is make the patient feel comfortable and create that initial interaction so that the patient doesn't feel that they're in some way sort of selected against or discriminated against just because they don't speak the language of the practice.
When did you start offering these courses?
Pardon?
When did you start offering?
So we've been offering Spanish as a course as a required course. One of the few medical schools that actually requires that. about 10 years ago. And this was when we actually had a campus in El Paso. El Paso is now its own medical school, but it used to be a branch campus of ours. And our students would go to El Paso, and as soon as they got on boards, they'd say, I can't talk anymore, because none of the patients speak English, a very small number of them, and most of the physicians, when they talk to the patients, they're only speaking in Spanish. And so therefore, I'm not really learning it. So our students basically said, we need this. We also do a lot of international trips. So one of our primary locations is in Nicaragua. And I've gone there, set it up a couple of times. I've gone to the trip there. We have this nice clinic in northern Nicaragua. If you know anything about the history of U.S.-Nicaraguan relationships, and you probably can understand that the U.S. arose a little bit back in the day, and we're trying to be part of that solution. But the last time I was there, the translator I had with me said, look, you can't come back to Israel. So, of course, what did I do? I bought Rosetta Stone and spent at least 2 or 3 hours trying to figure out what I mainly because I speak quite a bit of French and German, and whenever I try to think of a Spanish word, French and German, so it's sort of not a very good anyway, okay. So this is why I think that the medical experience is so relevant to any experience, because what we've learned in medicine is that it is that initial response, or the initial reaction, which will create the relationship that we want, the patient-physician relationship that we want, that we know will enhance the further well-being of that. We also understand that if there is a sort of a poor beginning to the relationship, it's very unlikely that patient is going to continue seeking care from that particular physician. So we've talked a little bit about language, but there are many other cultural differences that can impact the relationship between two individuals. We've talked about usage of sort of Western versus maybe alternative medical practices. But there are lots of other things which can promote a sort of feeling of disconnection between individuals. And one of the probably the best examples, I'll come back to it at the end of the day, is gender identity. This is one of the major issues that we're trying to address specifically in medicine. I'll show you some data later on which show that members of the LGBT community have much poorer health outcomes than members of non-LGBT communities. And we have to try to figure out why that is. And a lot of it is the fact that many physicians either are not comfortable with those interactions, belief system or whatever, or they don't even understand how to interact with individuals. Now, I can't tell you that I'm going to, at the end of the day, have changed your ability to interact with anyone else. Because that's something that's practiced. That's something that you will explore in your own way. And maybe you already have. If you have, that's wonderful. Have any of you ever done an implicit association test before? Okay. So we got 3. So you're going to do one of those. We're going to talk about, what is it about you that makes you different from someone else? We're going to do some fun little activities. I want to keep you engaged. And at any time, if you think I'm talking too much, all you have to do is sort of pretend to fall asleep. And then I go, oh my goodness, everyone's falling asleep, and I try to be asleep. You see how that goes. Okay. So in medicine, we call the differences in health outcomes related to demographic change, something that is very difficult to control in an individual's background. We call those health disparities. And the idea is that there are certain groups in the United States, and throughout the world, but in the United States, whose health outcomes are very different, and it's not dependent on inherent genetic differences, it's not dependent on, in many ways, even how well they adapt themselves. It's dependent on how they interact with the health industry. And so I just want to ask you a question. So, which of the following demographic parameters has the greatest impact on health in the United States? I'll give you 4 options: genetic identity, country of birth, zip code, or ethnic identity. So, which one do you think? Zip code. Yeah. So, there was a incredibly interesting study that's come out of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, which is located up in New Jersey, which have mapped health outcomes by zip code within some of the major cities of the United States. And it sounds like you may already be aware of this. And you know, one of the things I also realized is that it's very interesting, this interaction between climate science and medicine, because obviously climate science, I know that's not just climate change, it's multiple things you study, but particularly climate change. But one of the things that I'm very interested in is how is climate change affecting, for example, the movement of the survival of different pathogenic organisms. And for example, just in the last few years, Chagas disease, which is a disease that was primarily a disease found in Central America, has been detected in Southwest United States, in this area. And it's related to differences in the survival of the hosts of the organism that cause the disease. So I think those are pretty interesting.
So Simon, they just had somebody from Empire from Boulder come in and talk about climate change and infectious disease this morning.
Good, perfect. I wish I'd been here. So here's one example. This is Washington, D.C. And it's not the most obvious example, but if you've been to D.C., you'll know that it's located, it's sort of divided into 4 quadrants. And there are very different groupings of individuals who live in those quadrants. And you can see this is life expectancy according to zip code. And you can see it differs. If you live out in these nice suburbs, life expectancy about 84. But if you live in the sort of the inner city areas, life expectancy is 77. That's a pretty significant change in life expectancy just based on where you live. We'll talk about a little bit about why that might be. It's even more obvious here. This is New Orleans, and you can see that some of the poorest areas of New Orleans, particularly those that are even around the area that areas you might have visited, like in the French Quarter, life expectancy incredibly low, 55 years. So you could lose decades of potential life expectancy just based on the zip code. So what could be the reasons for this?
Is this like natural deaths or is this include like drug use?
It's going to be everything. So it could be, certainly drug use could impact it. So people dying younger because of violence is certainly one part of it.
If you're poor, you have less access to food.
We've got food deserts. I mean, we've got whole areas of cities. You can't even get a healthy meal. There's McDonald's and that's it. That's what I understand.
Distance to a healthcare facility.
Absolutely. Although I will say that most hospitals that are associated with medical schools tend to be located in bad areas of most cities. If you go to Miami, you go to the medical school, one of the things they tell you is when you get on the subway system, don't get off for any of the 3 stations on either side of the medical school because you never get back on. So, but absolutely true. Most hospitals are not specifically located within these poorer areas. Not only clinics in those areas, but also getting people to work in those areas.
One of us might be going
Absolutely. If you're, one of the things we do in the medical school is we do a thing called poverty simulation. And I don't know if it's something that you're interested in. But the way it works is you set up basically a simulation of an experience of a group of people living in a city who have a certain number of things they have to do. They have to get a job, they have to bring kids to daycare, they have to buy food, they have to get medication. And what it does is it simulates what it's like to be someone who is living in poverty, who isn't necessarily get paid vacation, so every time off, who is probably trying to find cheapest ways to get their kids to daycare. And it it's a really interesting experience, but basically the way it works is you get 15 minutes for each day, and you have a certain number of things to do each day. And it's really remarkable. One of the outcomes of it is if you're in real trouble, you can turn to crime. It's the best way to actually get money. So I remember one time I was participating in it, and in about 2 days, I decided because that was the only way I could support my now. Luckily, that was just a simulation, but it's a really valuable experience. I was training our students to think about it. Why is that person not showing up? Another example. And some of our residents in the OB clinic were complaining about a particular patient. She was newly pregnant, and she kept missing the appointments, the prenatal care appointments. And I was like, this lady with a daughter show, she's endangering her future child life. And so one of our faculty said, I didn't ask her why she can't show up for appointments. So the next time she came in, they said, we noticed you keep missing appointments. What's going on? She said, well, appointments. And so I had 2 groups of friends, one in London and one in Amarillo. And I never know quite which group I'm going to be with because they're the only people who will look after me at this time. And so many times you will set an appointment and say, okay, we need you to be here next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, I'm in Amarillo. And they said, so what's the solution? And the solution was, why don't you tell us when you'll be able to, so that we can actually coordinate with you around these administration. Because what we want is the best outcome for another control. So, oftentimes it's just not even thinking that someone else doesn't have the same sort of control over their lives as each other. So in 2002, the Institute of Medicine published a book called Unequal Treatment. And this was the first time that the medical industry, the medical people in medicine, were forced to recognize this uncomfortable truth that this is really focusing more on racial and ethnic minorities. Even if you control for income, insurance status, or location, have poorer outcomes than individuals who are not members of the minorities. And so this, for the first time, not only 14 years ago, forced medicine to try to understand what is it that is preventing these individuals from maintaining the health status of non-minorities. And what they proposed was that there was 2 things specific. One was stereotyping. There's a particular person who's running for the president of this country who recently made a statement that he thinks the profiling may be good in certain circumstances. I don't know what it is, but that's good success. And the other is biases. So 40 years ago, about 80% of people who went to medical school in the United States were male. Okay? Today, it's a 50-50 split. That's good. 40 years ago, probably about 90% of individuals who went to medical school were from non-minority groups. We're not a huge distance better than that, and we're certainly in places like this, for example, we can have reasonably high percentage of students who are of Hispanic origin, because that's probably the most relevant minority group in this area. City of Lubbock has about a 20% or 15% African American population. We don't have 15% of our student population being African American. But it's very difficult because each of these minority groups also faces their own challenges and how to even get to medical school. But it means that most of the people being trained to be physicians are coming from groups that are traditionally not these minority groups. Now, does that mean that those individuals can provide good care? Absolutely not. Anyone can provide good care to anyone else, so long as they're aware of the challenges that are faced. But more importantly, they need to be exposed to those experiences and explore the challenges that those groups might face, so that they themselves can ensure that they're not part of it. So, when I mentioned earlier the age group survival, mortality rate differences like zip code, some people have started exploring this in much more detail because, of course, one of the things you might propose is, well, this is simply a difference in the distribution of these different groups within these different cities. And that's a big part of the problem. This is a picture of an area of St. Louis. So St. Louis is a city that has a reasonably recent and long history of ethnic strife, shall we say. And here we see a division between the two groups that have two areas of the city that have fairly significant differences in this sort of zip code divide that we talked about earlier. You can see this Delmar Avenue, or Delmar Boulevard. If we're north of it, we see that the average home value is $78,000, income $22,000. Very few have college degrees, 99% African American. While below that, you can see the numbers, you can see those much better numbers. So there's certainly a component of the problem, which is the ongoing segregation that certainly exists. But I think that what we're trying to do is try to explore the ways to ensure that that does not have the health outcomes that we're beginning to see, to be able to understand how to do it. Okay, so let's explore stereotyping. Okay, how many of you think that stereotyping is a good idea? I've had people in my medical school class who put their hand up and said, "I do think it's a good idea," and try to explore that. It makes me a little bit scared sometimes. And I think, oh, we're only in first year, we can change that. And I do a few years ago, I did an exercise which backfired a little bit on me, but then I got rid of it. I asked the group of students to stereotype someone in the room, right? Which could be very dangerous, but I chose myself. I said, okay, an Irish male, what do you think? What are the classic stereotypes of an Irish man? So we all have it's a good or bad? These are leprechauns. They came up with all these different. And I was like, okay, I don't drink too much. That's what we might have good social, right? I certainly believe in my phone, so I'm doing well. I have good relationships with my English friends, there's my family visiting it. So there were certain things about it that I did. So, some of them are true, but they're not all true. And you wouldn't know any of those things just by looking at them. You wouldn't necessarily know that I was Irish if you look at it. Most people. But one of the students, so we get these comments back, most of them were positive. But one of the students said Dr. Williams consulted me, and he chose to make a joke of the concept of stereotypes, where there are certain groups where stereotyping is certainly a major problem. And I agree with this person who wrote this. And I felt really bad at first. I thought, oh, that's what I do. I completely insulted them to belittle the experience of this particular individual. No, that's not really true. Because first of all, when you say to someone, drink a lot, right? What you don't know is, well, maybe I'm struggling with that. Maybe I'm an alcoholic. If I'm not with this. And there are other things. But I realized that you cannot interpret any component of a stereotype and say that doesn't impact in some way on who you're assigning that stereotypical behavior. So it doesn't really matter who you are. No one knows what your life experience is. And therefore, that's why I think it's really dangerous to think that stereotyping has any real role in making any decision about it. And we do these, we won't do it here, but there's this website which is called Sorting People. You restrict your 24 people. You have to assign to different ethnic groups. American, Hispanic, Caucasian, whatever it happens to be. And I can usually get 6 out of 24. And the whole point is that just by looking at someone, and we do a little exercise later on to try this out, you really can't tell very much. So when someone walks into the room, simply trying to make a decision about them is not a good idea. Now, in medicine, it is important to recognize that there are certain conditions that are more common in certain ethnic groups. So, Hispanic populations have a higher rate of diabetes. However, it's not appropriate for somebody walking in and look at the exam and say, oh, I started with my diabetes test. So, you have to utilize evidence in the obviously ask that person and say, and that shouldn't be the first thing you actually ignore the things. So I'm going to do a few exercises. And what I'm going to do, this is a game that I played. What I want you to do is when you look at the images I showed you, tell me, is this person trustworthy, competent, very good, or is there something else you think about it? And the first one will test whether you watch too much TV. So who's that? What do you think about that? Weird? No weird? If you watch the movie, the show Sons of Anarchy, this is Jax. He's sort of a hokey leader of the motorcycle group. So certainly, if you did watch the show, you'd say, he's scary, not sure if he's trustworthy. Those might be the things you think about. But underneath it all, his mother, get his mother to get back at her. Spoiler alert. Come on, if you haven't watched it by now, you should. It's too bad. Okay, what about that guy? Scary. He's got tattoos, you can see one on his arm there. Probably
a creature or something.
I'll tell you who they are in just a minute. Someone already knows who they are. What about that? What do you think about it? You look like your grandma? Okay. What about that guy? Nice suit. You know who it is, don't tell that. What do you think about it? Okay? Yeah. They did an award. Good. What about that person? So she can drive. What can you tell that? Would you be scared of her? No. Let's see if he's true. So we got Jax. So this guy is the mayor of Braddock, Pennsylvania. He's actually he's got a master's in public policy from Harvard. He's actually running for the Senate. And the tattoo on his arm is actually the zip code of the area that he represents.
So I love the Braddock Hills. Just like the
You do? Does he hear who he was?
I thought that might be, but I haven't been back, I don't see him.
Okay. So this is the owner. She is the. So at the time when I first incorporated her here, she was sort of my example of a trustworthy world leader. I'm not sure if there's anyone anymore, but can't really tell much just by looking at him. This is Ted Bundy, right? So he looks like a hard-working man. And so he's got to marry your wife. Right? So this is
That's what I thought.
first female president of Canada. So it's pretty impressive. So we hope that that's what you think. And then this young lady is another mass murderer. One of the few female mass murderers. And it's something to put on your CV. So I hope that the point is that it's really hard to tell anything like someone just when you first see them. Okay, let's watch a little video. Any of you watch Modern Family?
Yes.
This is one of my favorite scenes from Modern Family. That's it.
There doesn't seem to be any marks.
Well, her head was somewhat protected.
Protected? Was she wearing a hat?
Yes, yes. It was a wig, which was sort of a yellow fabulous afro thing. I thought that'd be there. No. Really? You thought ghetto fabulous was medically relevant?
Maybe I should just finish with the exam.
You'll be pleased to know that Mitchell and I intend on raising Lily with influences from her Asian heritage.
That is fantastic. Any vomiting since that?
No. We found some art in her room, some Asian art, and then when she's ready for solitude, there is a fantastic pho.
Oh my God.
I'm pronouncing that right, is it pho? It's a soup.
I'm from Denver. We don't have a lot of pho there. Just to be sure, could you show me how hard Lily got hit? And use your head.
Oh, yeah. It's just sort of like that.
Press it again.
It's just the head up.
How are you feeling?
Fine.
So is Lily. Babies are designed to survive new parents, so stop worrying. You guys are doing great.
Thank you.
So, I just want to make one thing clear is that one thing we don't teach our students is when parents bring in their kids and say, their kids are happy, they say, show me how hard that is. It's hard to do it medical practice.
How the fuck you doing, Austin, Texas? Welcome to my Rolodex with Hank.
No idea what's coming on next. So let's move on. Okay, so what do we see there? Certainly stereotyping, right? I'm from Denver. There's a very funny scene later on where she comes over, they start kind of friends with her. She comes over to the house and as she's leaving, she takes out their garbage cans and she's trying to sort of the female Asian driver stereotype. So there's a lot. I think that's one of the cool things about most comedy shows. They can really start picking on these ideas, make them funny, but make you think about them. So you can see that has certainly made some decisions about where it has gone to this film. And that sort of made her feel uncomfortable. Now imagine that if that's the reverse, here we have a gay couple with a young, obviously adopted child, and sort of interesting interactions. But anyway, so stereotyping can certainly interfere, shall we say, with that interaction. Here, it takes a position, but it can be any kind of interaction. Bias, and this is something that's a little bit more, can be either explicit or implicit. But this is where the whole specific perception of everything that is unaffected by contrary evidence. And that's the whole point about even if there's evidence that what you believe about a particular group, I think a particular group isn't true, you still believe it. There's been some research which says that a particular group, somewhere in the vicinity of only about 30% of that group have to do a particular thing, but that behavior to be associated with the whole group. So like Irish and like themselves. So there's explicit bias. I mean, you could simply say, I do not like people from Australia. Right? Anyone like people from Australia?
Like people?
I like that.
I like people from Australia.
You're from Australia?
No, I like people from Australia. Yeah, they're fun. Exciting.
So obviously that's a ridiculous bias.
Yeah.
I mean, but unfortunately, there are people in this world who don't like people just because of where they come from. Right? It's an explicit bias. There's much more serious consequences than that than sort of joking about. But the more interesting part of bias is what's called implicit bias, or unconscious bias. And that's the idea that, I grew up in Ireland, and I left Ireland when I was 22 years old. Ireland, as I grew up, was a third world country, pretty much. Underdeveloped country. It had broken away from England, it had gained its independence in the 40s. It had a long history of conflict, and it was not rich. It had broken, actually, its currency away from Britain, so it was struggling economically. But everyone in Ireland was pretty much white. A few people who weren't, but pretty much everyone was white. So, potentially, somebody who comes to Ireland might say, I've never seen someone who is a different color from myself, and maybe I'm going to find it difficult to interact with those individuals. Here's what I like. So, see how quickly she's here. You can take over now. And so potentially that could be part of your implicit bias. And so an implicit bias is something which exists inside you that you're potentially unaware of, but also potentially unable to control. Okay? So we're going to do, is that going to have a computer with them sometime? Hopefully you'll be able to do this exercise. But there's a whole set of research performed at Harvard on how do we uncover the existence of disciplines. When do they exist? And one of the things I want to do with this exercise is to have you perform them. It'll take you about 10 minutes. And some of you have already done it. I've done these many, many times. I'll tell you a little bit about my results later. And you may end up finding that you have an explicit bias against the concept of implicit bias. That's okay. We all are ourselves. We all have our own ideas. And one of the things that I want to do with this is to explore what you can think about this. Because it's important to recognize that it may exist. You may come out of this saying, I didn't know I felt that way. And you may come out and say, that's a bunch of fun. But the idea is that if someone has an implicit bias against the group, they may react to the individuals from that group in a way that they're really not aware of. And what I hope to do with this is make you at least think about whether this exists. And once you're aware of something like this, you can potentially control it. I'll tell you a little bit about my results later on. But let's go ahead and do this. So there's a website. It's called implicit.harvard.edu. You should be able to just search for implicit bias, and it should be one of the first searches, first results that come up. You can watch that video in just a few minutes. So if you get to this page, you don't have to log in, you don't have to register, you just click go. And this is where this group of researchers have generated these tests. And the way that the test works is that it tests your association of terms, and I can use positive or negative terms, with particular groups. Ethnic groups, based on gender, so there's a variety of different types of tests. So if you click on Take a Test, which is at the top here, and I think this works on virtually any device, and you'll be able to read some preliminary information. You have to decide you want to do this. If you don't want to do it, please don't feel you have to. You can do it on your phone if you needed to. But it's going to test, it's going to require some manual dexterity. You're going to have these 2 fingers. And once you decide you want to do it, you click I wish to proceed at the bottom. And it's going to bring up a whole list of different tests. Now, normally when I do this with medical students, I assign them all to one test that's common to everyone, and then everyone can select one of the So I don't have to do the same one. So I would suggest you scan through those and look for a test that interests you. Are you ageist? Are you interested in religion, disabilities? There's some interesting ones, gender, science, IoT. Are you interested in exploring whether you associate different professions with different genders? And select. So let's see, we'll do gender science one here. And you should see a window that looks like this. And once you see that, you can click here to see what to check. Now the way it will work is there's 2 different parts of it. The first part is you'll be asked to answer a few questions, and this is really, they're collecting, you're participating in a recent study by doing this. So of course you not force you to select your option, but they're asked a few questions about, in essence, your perceptions of your own biases or lack thereof. Then you'll perform an exercise, and then they will come back and ask a few more questions. And the way that the results will be presented is they will say, we detect that you have either no bias between those 2 groups, or you have a mild, moderate, or large bias. Again, you do not have to reveal the results of the test, so please don't feel comfortable. If you're uncomfortable with that, so select one. If you don't mind that someone will be able to show them how to see the results. So, I use your computer screen, however you wish to do this. And you do not have to reveal the results at the end of the day unless you feel that you want. However, I would like you to at least be able to answer this question. Were you surprised by the results? So you hopefully have a little bit of an idea of what you feel about this particular topic. But then at the end of the day, it's like, that ended up being really good from what I thought. And most of us think we know what. But maybe, and then we'll explore whether this is. Okay, so I won't show you mine, but it'll continue, ask you a bunch of questions, and then when it gets into the actual test, it's an exercise-based test, so you'll have to keep up with this really quickly. Okay, I'm going to leave you for the next 10 minutes. I'm going to leave you alone for the next 10 minutes. You're doing this. Hey, hear what you think about this. So, I've heard people say, I just want to test how my fingers work and how my brain works. What do you think? Was anyone surprised by the outcome and would like to share that? And again, you can say you were surprised, you don't have to share it, or you can.
I'm really clear, so I didn't want to have an 8, and it said that I wasn't biased, but I sort of think that because I'm older and
Possibly. Well, maybe one of the things that's sort of part of this research is the idea that implicit biases are very hard to change. So they're sort of set in the brain by experiences. If you have lots of interactions with older human beings,
not necessarily, but I mean, age is one of the key things. As you get older, you're not changing ethnicity, you're not changing gender, you're not changing. It's one of the key ones that you actually change where you are.
Anyone else?
So I took the president's one, which I thought was really interesting. I thought I wasn't going to have any bias at all, but it turns out that I didn't bother on my Facebook wrong.
And is that surprise? So does it surprise you the direction of your bias?
Right, yeah. I mean, they're both Democrats, and I was raised Republican. I don't know if necessarily identify with that totally still, but I think it has a lot to do with how they're portrayed in the media. Is why
Which one is more important than the others?
that's what the media said.
Okay. Anyone else?
I did gender and science. I was slightly associated with males with science and visual arts.
Does that surprise you at all?
I don't think it surprises me from the fact that I'm aware of the disparity between the number of men versus the number of women in STEM jobs. I would say my conscious disposition is that I'm fully aware of how equally capable men and women are in STEM fields. So it's interesting in terms of what society
So it's a very interesting point because there is this disparity. Do you think that others having the same implicit bias could be contributing to the continuation of that disparity? So
What's the idea behind silent stuff? So first they are training you to associate male with science and female with liberal arts, and then they sort of like see how quickly you're gonna break the chain, and I just don't agree with the way justice design. I think it's good.
that's fine. So sometimes when you get the result you want, you get the result.
Nice.
So those of you, so we always have this discussion. I don't think this has to be very hard. So why do you think?
Well, again, I think first the kind of program you associate males with careers in one place, and then they just switch them, and you're just programmed to see, like when you see the male or management, and then they ask you to change them, and I think in like 5 minutes, in a minute, you can do that. It's not easy.
I think the part
It's about amazing, valuable warnings.
yeah,
It's pretty interesting. But what I would encourage you to do, because I think it's absolutely critical that you question but the fact is, you would go back and do that same test again. They would change the order. What they're trying to do is they're trying to say, is your result, which is the bias in it, is it caused by the way that you have presented this test to you? The best way to test is to change up the test to the same outcome, or the same potential outcome, and see if you do get that same outcome. And as I'm saying, there's a particular test I have done on this site every year for the last 10 years since I started, became aware of it, and believe me, I was not keen on the result I got on this particular test. I have done it for 10 years. The test hasn't changed, but it does change the order in which they ask you questions. I cannot change that. I cannot make myself, and I'm not very biased, but I'm moderate biased, just because I'm not high up there. Now I have to explain in one direction. Every time I do it, I think I'm going to teach you this. Because I know I don't want this bias to show up. I keep showing it. So I think it's absolutely critical, really critical of the test. But don't just let sort of your bias against the test and prevent you from thinking, well, maybe there's something here. Because I think the question here is really very good. Yeah.
I did the same thing. I did the science and gender, and it didn't swim. It's like pretty.
Well, that's because you're probably the age-related one, so maybe your finger is not working.
Yeah, it just said two discrepancies.
Yeah. You know, they're figuring out you don't really know the difference between
I'm wondering if it has a bias towards English as a first language.
Yeah, by the way,
Because those are the ones that are having.
It certainly could. I mean, it certainly could, and I think that it would be interesting for them to develop the same test in different languages. I was explaining that when the U.S. started using intelligence tests to screen immigrants into this country back in the early 1900s, when eugenics was a popular movement in the United States, they designed these tests that ask questions about their popular apps, which is the most popular detergent amongst people in New York City. And you can imagine an immigrant coming from Estonia would have absolutely no clue what the answer is, so they would get a measure of, hey, you're not intelligent enough to come into this country. So the test itself could bias the outcome. But again, what I would suggest you do is don't throw out sort of concepts that the test can work just because sometimes people may be wrong or whatever. Give the test a chance to show you whether it's accurate or not. But for some, it may be more accurate than others. But the fact is that at this moment, this website has been available for over a decade. We've got millions of people who participate. So they published a lot of data showing, first of all, the consistency of the test. But secondly, they have then connected the outcome of the tests to people's behaviors. And they've done this particularly in medicine. And they've shown how the implicit biases of physicians can impact their treatment. So there's quite a lot of data to show that this is a viable and valuable test. But again, each person needs to make a decision for themselves whether they feel it's valuable. And, you could probably go back and do the test again, gives you the additional information, and you might say, yes, I'm done with this. This is a waste of my time. That's okay. But I think the other thing that you can do is at least make you think, how do you let these biases do this? And that's sort of the question I want to ask you.
I was just going to share my result. I also chose race and got very similar results. I was moderately on one side. And I wouldn't call it unsurprising. I would call it unsurprising, but very disheartening. I was raised in a very white family, white schools, white teachers. We were talking very earlier to us about how a lot of times racial slurs are often joked about. And we've done a lot of laughing about this, but I think one of the most important things about the testimony just now was very visceral responsibility.
And one of the things that I do with this result is I continually think about what can I do to make sure that never impacts my interactions with students. Because I'm in charge of an educational program of over 600 students, and none of those should ever feel that there's anything that I would do to them that is based on anything other than some measure that was studied before. And frankly, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, whatever it happens to be, is not important. The score on them. I'm not even sure I agree with that. No, and in fact, that's where we're going to get to, is where you could actually start applying these tests.
Yeah, since these tests are given, so a lot of universities, when a search committee is formed to search for a faculty member, a chairperson, whatever, they will do this type of training with the search committee members, just to make them aware. It's like you said, you did the science and you didn't know what it test, and that's exactly the test of the search committee. And often they get results like you did, and that just makes them aware, like, oh, I might have this. So when I'm looking at CVs, I just need to be aware. Am I looking at them through that tent, or am I doing it completely, with no bias? And the reason for that is, you guys have probably heard these CV studies where they have given search committees, and these are search committees that are made up of men and women, and they give them the same CV. One with a man's name, one with a woman's name, and this study is really repeated over and over again, and the search committees will typically pick the job, but significantly more often than the woman. So this kind of training is given all.
Unless it's for women's work, right?
I have a question for you, and I recognize the importance of doing a test like this, as well as some of the biases that are not immediately apparent in the test. But it seems like to me it would be important to have more resources for people, not just like, oh, I'm aware that I should be aware of it. But like, for example, when I went to college, there's a mandatory class on race and racism in America, and every student went through that class, and it was a really difficult class, and it made people really come to grips with white identity and white privilege and the history of racism in this country. And those kinds of classes are extremely formative for students and for anyone who takes them, regardless of what your background is. And so I'm wondering what the resources are available for people who do come to uncomfortable conclusions, and it's nothing that you can get rid of, but I don't know, I'm just curious what the other resources are, besides just saying, like, pointing out something probably obvious. What I've seen on search communities and time I might talk to more about this and stuff, do this type of test. And again, they're not going to make the search community do the semester-long course on it. Right. That's never going to happen. They'll do an hour or two training where they talk about diversity, they talk about bias, they show some of these studies. I don't think that it's training to sort of change them to self-awareness.
I'll tell you that the way that this is covered in medical school, for example, is through self-reflection. So the idea is that you can force people to take courses, and you can hope that they learn something from those courses. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the whole point is really self-reflection, self-awareness, and trying to encourage that by providing individuals with opportunities, safe opportunities, to explore what their particular biases are. So, for example, another place where we do this in medical school is courtship, where students have to do a self-reflection on an experience they've had that unveil or identify a bias that they might have experienced. And it's really for them to say, well, how would I approach this? Because in fact, I think the only way you can really do this is not to force people to be more open. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But to make people more aware of their own particular way of addressing biases. Yeah.
There's like basic concepts that you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably true. I can tell you it's hard to do a course like that in a medical school where the instruments, how am I going to pass these standardized tests? But certainly I agree with you. I think that we do cover concepts of race, racism not quite as much, but it certainly becomes part of the discussion within those classes. I do a lot actually on sort of bias in the United States, things like the eugenics movement and others. So we do try to cover those concepts to make people aware of how these things occur. Because most people are very surprised to even know that these things exist. Sure, absolutely.
I mean, like the GRE is a bias testing, and a lot of the questions are very skewed for white people. I think it's still existing and still like something that's information.
Yeah, I was just going to share with all of you guys. I have a very intimate relationship with cultural biases, and actually the Del Mar Divide in St. Louis is actually near exactly in the city where I grew up. It's called the Truce Divide, and I grew up in a very affluent part of Mission Hills, Kansas, and I went to school with very rich white kids. So I was kind of going. I was more lower middle class type of student, so I got that perspective in that environment. And then I got a job through Youth for America, and then was hired to teach in the Kansas City, Missouri side, and I was living actually on Truce. And so I got to see the differences. And what I was able to do, because I taught an African-centered preparatory academy, and really what some of the information I gathered from my colleagues there is that it's better to be aware of color, aware of these differences instead of avoiding them. And what I think the kind of problem is with this test is that if you take a racial ethnic test and it says that you're biased, then you might be more inclined to avoid talking about these issues or talking about differences, these cultural differences, and whatever differences amongst populations.
And so I think it's good to not be colorblind, especially in these communities, and they enjoy talking about the differences. The differences are part of their identity, and so it's a fine line to interpret these results as like something that's I'm biased against this, so maybe I just won't talk about it. But I think it's good to talk about. It's good to if you realize that you're more biased, then just be open to new experiences and let yourself be out there. So,
in fact, that's one of the things when I did a workshop on this a while back. One of the things everyone's encouraged to do is to share stories just like yours about where you have experienced, either in yourself or in others, something which revealed a bias that you were unaware of. I think we won't do that right now because but that's the kind of thing that I think can actually encourage people to say, well, I shouldn't hide this. It's something which did impact me significantly, and I want to explore. So I think that is a very good thing. Okay.
Just the last question would be, so if you're self-aware and you try to prevent yourself from making biased decisions, is it a solution?
So, I mean, is it a solution? I think it's a step in the right direction, because the thing is that everyone makes mistakes. Everyone will, you'll say something, I did it as a joke, but imagine if I was allowed to do work. People will say that. And the point is that when you are aware that that's not the right thing to do, and not the right thing to say, you're also aware that if you do it and you trip up, you address it immediately. And you say, well, I believe I said that, right? Say that. Can we discuss, you might want to know how that impacted the person on the other side. So I think it's important, absolutely, to discuss these issues. But each one of you as an individual, each one of you comes here with a different background, whether that's your religious background, the country you grew up in, whatever it happens to be, with political ideas. Each one of those, every person you interact with has impacted you in a way that probably influences how you interact with other people. And so long as you consider those in your decisions, I think you can have a much better relationship with other individuals, no matter what their background is. And you can learn how best to interact with groups who you may have very little in common. If you're not gay, it may be very difficult to understand the life experiences of individuals in those communities. However, you can actually learn that, try it. You can experience, learn what those experiences are, and I think you can change this. Now it takes time, and it takes doing something. So I'm pretty much done. I have a couple more slides, but I don't really want to take too much of your time, because I think that, as I said to you earlier, you're not going to walk out of this room suddenly much more culturally competent, culturally aware, but that's not something that you can be taught to do. You may want to go on to Coursera and learn about racism. You can do that yourself. I think it should be something that you have to be forced to learn about. You should say that your self-awareness of who you are might make you interested in it. Utilizing and forcing, here's the other thing I would say, is advocacy. So, for example, what Ken was mentioning was search movies. You're going to face that, right? You're going to be the person on the other side of that table. And you don't want that person to be biased against you because you're female, tall, bold, whatever it happens to be. People have weird biases. So you should be advocating for fairness in all of these procedures, because if we all advocate for those and ensure that those exist, then we can actually make this process. And I think that, as I said, many people continue to be unaware that these biases exist in themselves. And if you're unaware, you're a long distance away from being culturally competent. being aware is only the first step in this process. And I would have to say, and I agree with you, that one of the limitations of this particular resource is it isn't really linked to a solution. There's no easy solution to this particular situation. All we can do is make sure that the activities that we are responsible for take these concepts into account and work as fast, as closely as possible to making sure that those problems don't exist. So that's what I wanted to do today. I hope that, maybe you've learned a few things about this, hopefully you've had a little bit of fun. I try to be a little bit too edgy sometimes. I think comments which might make you feel uncomfortable. It's sort of designed as some sort of rickety ways of cultural software. So try to make people feel uncomfortable around things, because that's how you sort of remember them. Wow, I don't actually enjoy that as much. And imagine someone else who experiences that would feel even worse. So maybe I can do something. And I was going to show you some data from medicine, but I've already talked about it. But the solution, the thing that we are trying to do in medicine is to decrease health disparity. And not just because that's fair. I'm very keen on fair. But the other thing is it costs a huge amount. So it's estimated in this country that the direct and indirect costs of health disparities, i.e. individuals who have poor health outcomes because of something that they can really not control. Okay?
Yeah,
fine.
I can't call it different.
Can you borrow a phone? But the cost is estimated to be $1.2 trillion a year. Right? So imagine if we could make just a small inroad on an annual basis into health disparities. We could save, I guess, the healthcare industry of the United States economy and make us all a little bit healthier. But most importantly, we would prevent individuals who don't deserve poorer health outcomes from experiencing it. That's my perception. Okay? So any more comments, any questions, anything else you want to talk about?
One thing that Simon, I think you hit on earlier, and continue throughout the discussion for this group, that we deal with, looking at climate change, climate science, and then its broad context. One of the statements that you said that were done, culture impacts how people use information, and how it's linked. We went over the last couple of days to talk to overall producers and people living in farming and winegrowing. And I think one of the things that we saw from that is how we in academia have one culture in terms of use of information, while how the producers have a completely different culture in terms of what they're doing. And we have a bias against them, because they're coming from one set of values, and they have a bias because they're coming from another set of values too. Based on that. And how do you overcome it? Because I think cultural bias is just not between ethnicity, but it is between segments of all aspects of our society. And we, as part of the larger climate science effort, are going to try to understand how do you help people make decisions, bring information that's worthwhile. That's one of the biases this group has to own.
Very similar example in medicine in the city of. So, one of the things you may not know is this is a very segregated city. The western side of the city is the more active, wider area, and the eastern side is the much more minority. So, one of the things the medical school does is provide a free clinic whereby individuals without insurance can go there and receive health care with no cost. So when we were designing this, the original idea was that we put the clinic in the health science center just down the road. And what we realized when we started interacting with the leaders, they said, look, no one can come here. This is not a place that they're going to feel comfortable. So you have to put this clinic in a place where the population you want to be And so now it's more accessible, and it's also the framing of so there's a cultural awareness of just where to put it. There's so many different ways we have to think about it. How do we make sure we connect to the right people? One, to aware of that, they will be advocacy.
But I guess in climate science, then you have to figure out what are the most important climate change issues that are going to affect every single person. Right? We can talk about things that we worry about. They're not going to care.
No, and that's exactly what happened with the wine producers, is they're not worried about the long-term predictions at all. Because they're trying to deal with the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 1 year.
So you got to explain how that is going to impact the long-term. You know, and then it's saying that you get church leaders on board with climate change and why it's important. Some people might feel more comfortable hearing that from them than us academics.
Okay, thank you so much.